Now, for my next trick, I will drink a glass of water.
Water. It's everywhere.
Brought to you by dihydrogen oxide
Water. You should probably drink it.
in your coffee. That's good enough. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. How's it going for you guys?
Not bad.
It's been good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Finally getting
Alright.
warm. Surviving
nice.
tornadoes.
Yeah, how was it for you guys? Was it bad weather?
Well, we were stuck on the highway when it happened,
We
and
literally hung out at a gas station for 45 minutes to wait for a tornado warning to go above us.
Ugh.
it scared the shit out of me. Tornadoes terrified me.
I saw rain going sideways.
It's raining sideways.
I saw my life flashing before my eyes.
It was very boring.
Hey, welcome to Our Hardly Know Her.
Hi, guys.
We're gonna talk some tutor.
Or else.
No, we're not. We're gonna mix it up. Let's talk about somebody else. Queen Victoria's birthday was this week.
Really?
Oh,
How
happy
old is
birthday,
she?
Queen Vic.
200 years old.
Oh, she looks great.
Yeah. Today in Tudor history, May 29th, Thomas Cranmer declared Anne Boleyn's marriage to Henry VIII valid in the year 1533. Please note, 3 years later, she will not have a head.
Wah, wah.
She, lays her head on the block, record scratches. I bet you're wondering how I ended up here. We've probably made that joke
Well,
before.
it all started a little bit like this.
And it shows her sister banging Henry VIII.
Ooh.
It goes into the Fresh Prince song. It's talking about how her head got turned upside down.
You did it.
I approve. That's a good one. So, we've spent a year and 3/4, right? Year and a half, little more than a year and a half, educating you two on all things Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn.
God, has it been that long?
October 2016.
Jeez.
Ugh.
Wait. Yes. Oh my God, guys. It's longer than 2 years. Holy shit.
Yeah,
We've been
because,
going for 2 years.
God.
We awesome.
Yikes.
People are still listening for some reason.
No, I love you guys. Keep listening.
Why do you do this to yourselves?
I don't. I'm pumped. I love that.
No, the listeners.
Oh, I thought Garrett was chastising us for, giving ourselves crap. No, keep listening.
No, I'm chastising the listeners. You have families. Why?
We
You
are
have
their
jobs.
family.
Why are you still
They have-
here? Go
they have
home.
Have careers.
They have jobs they hate and families they don't really like that much.
Oh, don't. No.
Let's be honest. Let's be real. They're like, Henry VIII's a better husband than. Ugh. Yeah, if you guys are comparing your husband to Henry VIII, please go
seek
to
help.
counseling. Yeah, go to someone. Get out now.
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
But we have spent more than 2.5 years talking to Garrett and Jeffrey all about them tutors.
Oh, that's what we've been talking about this entire time.
I thought we were talking about improved chances of seeing A's on my report cards. Nope. So I'm kind of gonna turn it over to you guys only a little bit. I figured let's discuss Anne Boleyn, and I can actually get your guys' insight into what you think was going on with some of her stuff and some of the rumors about her. Y'all ready?
I
I
think so.
I don't have a choice, so yes.
You do
Yeah.
have a choice. Don't do the podcast. No episode this week. Sorry, guys. Garrett and Jeff don't want to do it. Bye.
You're making me think too much.
No, I'm not. Okay. So, we're going to start with the fun stuff. The rumors about what Anne Boleyn looked like. Because you guys remember some of those?
She had a 6th finger.
Yep. And she had a mole.
She had a birthmark that was a B.
You're half correct on 2 things.
I would say if it was Henry describing it, it probably just looks like 666 on her ass or something like that.
She had the medieval tramp stamp.
Yep.
That's what the devil really did with all those witches marks. They were just the devil's tramp stamps.
Devil was here.
That's
the
this-
Devil's Tramp.
That's
Stamp.
this week's episode title, right?
Yep. Got it.
No, so the whole Anne Boleyn had a sixth finger and like a big ass mole on her neck. That wasn't even reported until Elizabeth I's reign, and it was reported by a Spanish ambassador. So
I wonder why Spain would talk shit about Anne Boleyn.
right, totally weird, especially because like they seemed like best buds for so long, and it's just a very weird decision for that Spanish ambassador. So that was the rumor, and I always kind of discredited it because I'm like, well, what's the proof that she had, maybe it was reported out. Either way, it was reported after Anne Boleyn died. But what do you guys think? Also, another one of my arguments for her not having a sixth finger or a mole, Henry VIII was like nuts, even prior to going nuts. And disfigurements like that would have been seen as a mark of a witch.
And I just feel like it would have been recorded. They'd been like, yeah, she's great, she's beautiful, but she's got another finger.
I know. And like they were
like
honest.
that would have been documented.
Henry likes the extra finger.
The thing is, they were pretty honest in reports about what she looked like because they were saying, essentially, they were like, yeah, she's not that pretty. She's fine, but she's not pretty. Like,
And
That's how I always
those are actual
That's how I always
reports.
visualized
Yes.
it. She'd be like average.
she was average. But, I mean, she was told, like, the thing that was reported is that she had beautiful eyes, a rather pointed chin, and a long neck. But other than that, she was pretty plain for what was considered beautiful in those day and age.
She was
So-
E.T.
So who was considered more beautiful? Was it her or her sister?
Mary.
Mary was the more beautiful
Mary
one.
was considered by the rules of the day. Which,
Okay.
if you remember that one episode where I was telling about the rules of the day, then I would have been considered very pretty if I
Refresh my memory.
had fat. No,
Looks like a freak.
no. Small chested. But perky. Pale. No freckles, because if you had freckles, it meant you were needing to work out in the sun. And then blonde hair was preferred, and blue eyes, and not like freakishly skinny, but like you got some meat on your bones, like a
Okay.
healthy size 10, like because it shows you're wealthy, you can eat. So yeah, no, Anne wasn't considered beautiful, but if they were honest about what she looked like, then why wouldn't they have been honest about a mole? Which, yeah, they're not beautiful, but it's not as weird as a sixth finger. I can see leaving out a description of a sixth finger.
We kind of forgot about that one. We got used to it.
We were so distracted by the mole.
I feel like her detractors would have been like, this bitch had a sixth finger.
Exactly.
It was
so
it was cut off with her head.
she just slides her hand up there and she goes, finally gonna get rid of this motherfucker. No,
Can you cut another hole in the guillotine for me?
Let's see. Nicholas Sander, a Catholic recusant, ugh, Recusant. I'm saying recusant, who was living in exile during Elizabeth I's rule, was not a fan of Anne Boleyn and sought to discredit her and blacken her name by describing her as having a projecting tooth under the upper lip, and also describes her pretty mouth. I feel like a fucked up tooth ruins the pretty mouth idea. A large wen, which was the mole.
Recusant.
Okay, thank you. And 6 fingers on her right hand. But it was during Elizabeth I's reign. Why would he wouldn't have had... Okay, however, she may have had some sort of minor imperfection on her hand, which gave rise to this myth, as George Wyatt, a grandson of Thomas Wyatt, says there was found indeed upon the side of her nail upon one of her fingers some show of a nail.
Did she kill Ego Montoya's father?
Yes, she had to prepare to
Maybe
die.
she had that. Maybe she had that thing that Megan Fox has.
What does Megan Fox have?
She's got some. I don't know what it is, but it's like some weird thing with her thumb. I don't know what it's called. Megan.
I'm Googling
Fox.
Megan Fox thumb. Oh, it's just really wide.
Her
Toe
thumb?
thumb?
It's like stunted or
Toe thumb.
toe thumb.
Oh God, that's disgusting.
Maybe Anne Boleyn had a toe thumb.
Maybe she did. But then there's another thing. There's a portrait of Anne Boleyn with her hands up. So
With
I
the hands
think they
up?
would leave that out. Because a portrait, you may know, is not a photograph.
Could you Photoshop that? Yeah, but like,
Ye
why
old
would she have
Photoshop.
shown? So Elizabeth I was super proud of her really long fingers, and so she had tons of portraits painted with her fingers showing.
Maybe she was like,
So-
hey, my fingers are good, and even though they really aren't, make everyone think that they are, that I would show my fingers like this.
That propaganda, though.
It
but
is
then,
propaganda.
I mean, she could have had a mole as well. I have a mole. Does that make me a witch?
I mean, how much do you weigh?
Less than a duck.
Which?
Damn it. Yeah, that's just, it's one of those rumors, and I feel like I'm always going to discredit it because it was like a generation after Anne Boleyn. It's people reporting who weren't alive.
And that's propaganda. Them saying, oh, she totally had a sixth finger.
And look who's saying it, right?
Yeah.
B, I feel like Henry VIII would not have pursued somebody if he noticed a fucked up finger.
Maybe that's what got him off.
Maybe, but you know, for a guy who was seeking absolvement from marrying his brother's wife, he claims, you'd think he'd choose like the perfect woman and one with visible a sixth finger worth remarking upon.
When you're king, you can do what you want, and if you want a little bit of the strange, then go for it.
Anne Boleyn was just the younger model.
Oh, I guess so. Although Catherine of Aragon was supposedly prettier.
Supposedly, but once again, who knows?
I know, we can't really trust. Honestly, even the portraits of Anne Boleyn, I think I only read that there's only been one verified portrait of Anne Boleyn. And the rest are either copies or they're not quite sure. And it's because Henry VIII did such a good job of destroying everything.
So I know this is completely unethical, but don't you think it'd be fascinating if we could get DNA samples from these people and clone them?
Yes.
Just to see what the fuck they look like?
Welcome
Yes.
to Tutor Park.
For 2 weeks in a row, we're mixing up Anne Boleyn and Jurassic Park.
We are fucking awesome.
Bingo! Tudor DNA.
The problem with portraits
There's
of Anne
little eggs
Boleyn...
and like little Henrys are like poking out of it.
He
You're
doesn't
so
pop out of an
preoccupied
egg.
with whether or not you could. You didn't stop to think if you should.
He's so pretty, but it's not an egg. He pops out of a cod piece.
Henry doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt. Oh
The
my
scene, they're
God.
looking back in the rearview mirror, and
Oh my god.
Oh my God, the scene so they're pulling up. Instead of the bronze swords, it's Anna Cleves.
Oh god.
we have a Henry Rex.
He was called Henry Rex.
He was
That's
the
how
king.
he signed his letters.
We have a Henry Rex.
Oh god.
And at the end of the movie, it's Henry in the middle of the gift shop, and all of his wives are jumping on top of him. And
I think that's what the musical 6 ends up with. I'll let you guys know after I see it.
Oh my God.
Oh god. Okay, back to the portraits. The problem with portraits of Anne Boleyn is that they are all so different. None are thought to be contemporary, but instead later copies of earlier works, which were destroyed when Anne had her head.
so it's a game of telephone.
It really is, and like there are 4 different portraits that may have been Anne Boleyn, and none of them look alike.
So if there's that many discrepancies, like who's to say that she didn't have a sixth finger?
Yes, and that's another thing. Is like we can't also be sure about that, but also most of the portraits aren't full body portraits. They're like chest on.
But I also
up.
agree with you that she probably did not have a sixth finger.
It doesn't seem plausible to me.
Yeah, I think it was like a weird. It's a weird rumor to try to be specific on.
Well, if you also think about it, it's
Like you
people
couldn't
who
say
were...
toe.
Oh, no, toe's not visible. That's sexual, Jeff. You sicken me. there is a Holbein painting of Anne Boleyn, of supposedly Anne Boleyn in like basically 1500s lingerie. Like Henry basically asked Anne for a dick pic.
That's some sweet ankle right there.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
It's what are you googling, Anne Boleyn?
Holbein and Boleyn.
Oh, you're gonna get a couple. It's really just a sketch of her in a nightcap and a lace up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, are you
Oh,
turned on by
God.
that?
Good thing we got that explicit rating. Am I right?
Wow.
Yeah, guys.
Slow down, girl.
This
Yeah.
is hot. Wow.
We'll share it to our Facebook.
Sexy tutors in your area.
Tutor hub.
All right, I'm not going that far.
Yeah, so that's the thing about her fingers, and then the same thing with the mole. That would have been pretty easy to hide. I don't know. I feel like this looks like Anne Boleyn. I'll show you guys. But like the one where she's got the bee necklace.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like that matches.
and it matches a lot of her description. Very,
Pointy chin, long
very
neck,
long neck, pale.
deep dark eyes, really long black hair. Fun fact, her hair was so long she could sit on it.
Coal, black eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that kind of comes up. New Anne Boleyn portrait. Okay, I'm falling down a hole of Anne Boleyn potential portraits. Let's see. What was one of the other things I wanted to ask you guys your opinion about? Oh, her whole motive for marrying Henry VIII. So, spoiler alert for Alison Weir's book series, The Six Queens or Six Tudor Queens or the Tudor Queens, something like that. Either way, the current one she's writing. In the second book, it's all about Anne Boleyn, and Alison Weir suggests that Anne as a character does not actually love Henry, but instead she was going for the crown so that she could wield some power and kind of direct, basically just get women in charge, because she grew up in the court of like Margaret of Austria, and then she went to France. So one of the theories is that Anne didn't actually love Henry and she wanted power. What do you guys think of that, just based on what you know of her? Well,
It's weird because
know.
it was like all the stuff about like she wouldn't do anything until they were married. So I can see where some of it could be true because like,
Yeah, she's dangling that carrot.
yeah.
The carrot's her penis.
Why is it orange? No, but I could see how you could try to pull that because you're not sure whether it's her trying to be like pure, like I have to be married to.
Well, yeah, but then look at her history of Henry Percy. I'm fairly positive that historians agree she did marry and sleep with Henry Percy. So maybe it wasn't so much purity. See, here's what I think. Because Anne Boleyn had a very good education for a woman. Her father made sure she knew how to read and write. She wrote a lot about religious policies, about religious reform. She thought everybody needed to see. She's the one who introduced Henry to kind of the concept of the king is the Pope, really. Like the king doesn't have the kind of power to, or the king is the only one who has the power to make religious claims in his kingdom. Otherwise, he's answering to the Pope. So, she was very smart. We all know that. Did she then figure out that if she was queen, that's the only way she really would have had the power to make change? Because she saw how Henry gave Catherine power when he went away to France to fight. I mean, she didn't see it. She was still a little girl, but she would have known about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, did she love him, or was she power hungry?
Probably my mind starts going to other Boleyn girl, where it's like more of her trying to get revenge on her sister than it was like anything to do with the
Yeah.
king.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, see,
I mean,
that's what I
how
was,
long was she queen for?
3 years, but she was trying to be queen for, let's see, 1927.
And how many
1927. Jesus Christ. 1527 to 1536. So like 8 years.
and how much did she
No.
accomplish as queen?
Well, I guess that depends on how much you think she actually influenced Henry. So when she was his non-sexy mistress, when they weren't doing the dirty, and she was still considered his mistress, his girlfriend, his side piece, she helped encourage Henry to break from the church and make a lot of decisions. And she also got her family in positions of power who would then help Henry make political decisions. So I feel like she did have a decent amount of influence in her time as Henry VIII's concubine. I hate that term. His side piece. So
You would rather pick side piece over concubine?
yeah, concubine sounds
Concubine
dirtier.
sounds a little classier.
Not if you're reading all about how Eustace
Well,
Chapuis
concubine-
only
concubine
referred
is
to her
more
as
like slave,
the
isn't it?
No, concubine's just extra wife.
Okay.
Extra wife. Wife plus.
Yeah, let's call her. No, she's not wife plus. Because she wasn't even legally married to him for until the last 3 years. But
She's the kind of wife.
kind of wife. Let's call her the kind of wife.
Kind of wife is cool.
I like kind of wife. So she was the kind of wife for so long, and Henry would talk to her and she would get involved to the point where when he was married to Jane Seymour and Jane Seymour tried encouraging Henry to make a different political decision, he was like, hey, don't forget I killed the 2 women who came before you.
He's like, I'm not going through that again.
Yeah. So like he was like, they got their noses into places they shouldn't have been. I'm gonna and like you saw what happened to them. They were clearly involved, but here's what I think. I think Anne saw the opportunity when Henry showed interest in her to make a difference and to become a powerful woman, especially after men were the one who kind of destroyed her chances of happiness with Henry Percy when Wolsey and even Henry to an extent stepped in and were like, nah, you're not really married. We declared it. Thus it is. So I can see her being like, well, I'm tired of men being in charge. I'm gonna take charge. So when Henry showed interest, she's like, I'll use this to my advantage. And then she kind of figured out what she could do. And then I think she kind of fell in love with him the same kind of way like people in toxic relationships fall
Like
in love
Stockholm
with you.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Not even Stockholm syndrome, but like
Being the beast, right?
no, it's like because she wasn't as captive, she could have left. She did leave multiple times, but she could have easily. Where was I going with this? No, it's like when you look at people who are in dramatic relationships and all they do is fight and they're really obnoxious, and then when they are not fighting, they're like tonguing each other in front of you. That was basically Henry and Anne. So, no, I'm serious. I mean, less lecherous than Henry with Catherine Howard, but still, like, it was passion, either hate or love, all the time. So, it's kind of, I kind of think that she went in for the power, and then she kind of developed that toxic love-hate relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she loved him in a way she knew how. I don't know. There's still a lot of guessing about what her motive was.
Yeah, and you're not sure if maybe like if there was anything to do with her family, had something to do with anything.
But the
as
conclusion
well on
is
it.
that the
Well,
conclusion is that it wasn't like a pure love between them.
I don't
Like,
think
there
it was.
There was machinations.
on
Machinations.
machinations on Anne's side, not
Yeah.
Henry's. What would he have gotten out of it besides a son?
Yeah.
Like, I think he actually cared for her, which is almost sad because then if he, he probably convinced himself that,
No,
Yeah,
she just
breaking
loves
from the
me.
church is a great idea.
well, I think Henry convinced himself the same way he did with, I think when Henry wanted something, he convinced himself that it was the right thing. Like, this is the guy who the Pope named the defender of the faith, and he wanted to always be right. He wanted to be this
I'm the
great
king.
prince.
Clearly, I wouldn't do anything wrong.
Right. He was
So
like,
everything bad that happened in Henry's life is his fault,
is not his fault. Everything bad is not
or
Henry's fault.
is Anne's fault.
or whoever else. Cromwell chopped his head off. Wolsey chopped his head off. Henry was always in the right. So when he wanted to divorce Catherine, he probably convinced himself that he was doing the right thing by abandoning this woman who loved him, bore him multiple children, and then suffered the loss of almost every single one of them. But he was in the right because he's like, look, hey, Catherine, I love you and I would choose you again, but this is a sin. He convinced himself. So I think he might have done the same thing with Anne. He thought Anne was the best thing for him in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, he was like, no, she's a witch. I am so certain of it.
But you said that she was the one that kind of introduced him to the fact that he was a king and he could really do whatever he wanted.
Right. She kind of got
so
the
she
wheels
planted that
going in
seed
a really.
And it kind of just got out of control.
Absolutely.
Okay.
1,000,000%. And then, Cromwell wasn't helpful either. So.
Oh yeah, fucking Cromwell.
Fucking Cromwell. So
Fucking Cromwell.
I'm actually reading. I need to make that into a shirt. I'm actually reading Wolf Hall. I started it once and then I wasn't interested in continuing it and I stopped it and I've had it on my shelf for years. I've even had the sequel, but I'm rereading it. And the reason I didn't like it is because it's all from Cromwell's perspective. But I'm giving it a second chance just because it's worth looking into.
Did you watch the Wolf Hall show?
Yeah, I flew through it on maternity leave. It was okay.
Yeah. I was...
It kind of painted the one thing I'm not liking so far about Wolf Hall and that I wasn't a fan of on the show is that it kind of painted Cromwell as like almost an innocent victim of circumstance.
I was only Henry's real true friend.
Kinda. It's just I'll give you guys a review.
I'm curious, are there do you know of any people out there who are like
Cromwell did nothing wrong?
Sympathizers? Because it's like how they was it Richard the Third?
There are Richard the Third sympathizers.
But I'm curious about Cromwell. If there are people who try to defend him.
I don't know.
For what he was.
Listeners, any of you, what do you guys think? What was Cromwell a dick or was he just a guy trying to make the right things happen for what he believed?
Or to our listeners, do you know any sources of people who maybe?
I have 2 Cromwell biographies on my to read list that I want to get to. So those are going to be...
You're kind of curious then, are they going to say he's a dick, or they're just going to say he was just a guy in history? He was just another person trying to just get his way through
Look, I
to
know
the politics.
I know I'm biased against Cromwell because of his role in Anne Boleyn's downfall, but I still think he's kind of a dick.
I mean, he was just essentially
Objectively.
he was a politician back then. He was a guy who was just trying to work
some things
his own
never
needs.
change.
Yeah.
Politicians always suck.
Yeah.
So who's the modern day Cromwell?
I mean, years ago it said Dick Cheney.
Yes. Let's pretend.
Who's Steve Bannon?
Is he still?
He's not in the picture anymore, but
Okay, so he's post Anne of Cleves, Steve Bannon. I have to think about that one a little bit more. Anyway, yeah, that's my conclusion. Anne probably loved him eventually.
She started wanting power, and then she found love.
And then she lost her head. That sounds like a Netflix description.
It's a rom-com.
It is a rom-com. Anne Boleyn's life.
Anne Boleyn was a simple girl, just trying to get through life. Little did she know she was going to find the man of her life.
Have you guys ever noticed that Netflix show descriptions or movie descriptions always follow one of 2 formats, and one that's the most popular is question, answer, but the real story is even better. So if it were Anne Boleyn, it'd be like
you think you know the true story.
No, it'd be like her morals ? Better than anybody else's. Her religious beliefs questionable. Her head off her body. They always follow this
her
stupid.
Head on a roll.
Her
Were
head
you guys the
on
ones
a
that
roll.
introduced me to the Netflix game?
Yes.
Where you flip through things real fast and read the description as it goes.
Yes.
And just continue reading whatever you see
That's
next.
one of my favorite games. We play it all the time. I feel like there's something else I want to talk. Okay, wait. Question for you guys. What do you think is the most interesting thing you've learned about Anne Boleyn during our podcast? Or what's your favorite thing?
I do like the idea that Henry was into her sister first.
It's interesting, right? Especially because he was like, "Well, Catherine, I can't be with you. You were with my brother."
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just fascinating
Like,
that she actually had sex with her brother.
Fuck you.
and and the way you were just saying it, like you suggesting that Anne Boleyn had these like this devious plot to like weasel her way into
Well, it's
being the queen,
so
and then just gaining
far-fetched.
all this power, and
And
like the
that's
whole idea of her like visiting these other countries and learning the ways and coming back as like a
woman
hot,
of the
a hot
world.
chick.
Yeah. Yeah,
And like that just sounds like a movie in and of itself, but
it really
happened.
does. Well, that's one of the things that I find almost comforting about history. I was telling Jeff this. History has really awesome stories, first of all. So if you're not interested in history, your teacher probably made it really fucking boring. Which
They
I'm
sure
sorry,
did.
because history has some baller stories like giant cod pieces and gluing fox fur to your head to fix illnesses. But it's also repetitive, and it kind of just shows us a lot of human nature. But some things just sound so incredibly far-fetched. Like, I don't think Anne Boleyn from like the moment Cardinal Wolsey broke her up with Henry Percy, I don't think she was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and make a plan to become the queen. Like, that was so far-fetched. Never was done. Never would have been conceived of. I think she just kind of saw an opportunity and was like, well, I could be queen.
I just like how like all his wives, she's like the one that Henry really just wanted to truly erase her existence afterwards.
Henry was like a petulant 16-year-old after his first breakup.
Everyone else,
Everyone else, he just chopped their heads off.
yeah, and was done.
Yeah, no, he totally. Well, I think it's because maybe he actually felt guilty about how he treated Catherine, but then later on, he still buckled down and was like, she was never my wife. I don't know. He's just such a baffling figure. Like,
Well, I mean, he wouldn't go back on that. I mean, he's
no.
got to keep
He's
got
gotta
to
be
keep
right.
up that thing that
Facade.
he told himself, like, she
Yeah.
was my sister.
yes.
You're my
So
sister.
maybe
You're
that.
my
So
sister.
then maybe he convinced himself that Anne really did have an affair and sleep with all these men, and she was a witch, and she slept with her brother, and
I mean,
like she
he
was
can
the
do
queen
whatever
center.
he wants. He's the king, but to ease his own conscience.
Yes, very likely. I
Yeah.
can totally see that. So yeah, like I think he convinced himself that she was a truly devious, awful, sinful woman who had bewitched him, and so he was then gonna get rid of that. He was gonna erase her from history. And I mean, for God's sake, he did a really great job. One of the listeners, I just sent out a quick thing on Twitter a couple hours ago asking if there's anything our listeners really wanted to know about Anne Boleyn. And somebody commented that they wish they could have read her writings because all we have are love letters, but we know she wrote a lot more than that. But Henry VIII did everything he could to destroy those kind of things. So, yeah, he did everything he could to get rid of Anne. And then Jane, he considered his true queen because she gave him a son. All right, this is another question that's asked. Which wife do you think Henry VIII loved the most?
I think in his head it was Jane just because of the son thing. Mm-hmm. But I think Anne, he really did love her a lot for the time.
I think he obsessively loved her.
Yes.
Like a
I
20-year-old.
feel like it was more of a lust thing that just completely consumed him. I want to believe Catherine. but then he
I want to
just
believe
got-
Catherine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was with her for 23 years.
If she had just gotten actual like a son that could live, I think
That's what it was.
it would have been a whole different history.
You know, I know the answer.
Completely.
I know who Henry loved the most. Himself.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, he just couldn't. He
He
would
just
check
couldn't
himself
find
out.
anyone that looked like him.
If only there was a rotund ginger to warm my bed at night.
Oh God. Well, for me is the fact. It's always fascinating to me is more that it was Anne Boleyn's daughter who ended up becoming probably the more famous of any, like no
I
one.
always felt like that was justification.
Yeah.
Not justification. It was
Well, it was like it just
Vindication.
yeah. It was like, okay.
because
You treated mom like shit, but I'm gonna be a good
Elizabeth
queen.
would have only been like
3.
3 when her mom was beheaded, so she
Yeah.
never knew her mom.
Yeah. And there's a lot of question about what Elizabeth thought of her mom. She was never brought up by Elizabeth, but when Elizabeth died, she was found to have a
Well,
ring on her
and she
hand
couldn't
with
really-
Anne
you-
Boleyn's face in it.
Yeah, you feel like she really probably, because at least for that time, the Anne Boleyn was still fresh in a lot of people's minds of probably when
Ish. I mean,
Ish.
Henry went through so many wives after Anne, and he really didn't want anybody talking. He
But-
did his
But
damnedest.
I feel like Anne was like the one that really like
It made an
everyone
impact.
thought was, at least it was made out to be really this evil,
Yeah.
controlling woman, whereas all the other wives was like
They were just wives.
Jane died, Anna Cleves he just married because he
Politically, who did
politically
too.
and then divorced her, and then it was then Catherine
Yeah.
Howard.
Yep.
Howard, she was just a young bimbo who did dumb things.
Oh, honey.
Oh, honey. And then Catherine Parr just lived through it
She
all.
survived.
Yeah, she survived. So that was the thing with Anne. Anne's the only one who's ever made out, and all of his wives actually made out like she was just the evil one of them all.
I mean, he didn't exactly think fondly of Catherine Howard, but she didn't make any sort of political impact. So I
She
think
didn't
her,
she didn't do anything.
yeah, her thing was more like a. So
She, when I think of Catherine Howard, I just visualize like Friends, Janet, just really annoying. You're like, why did you?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you're so wonderful.
I think he chose Catherine Howard because she was young and hot, and he was like, I still got it.
Oh my God, come here.
He was like groping her in public. Like people would, like he'd be like grabbing her boobs in public.
Kind of like Jabba the Hutt with Leia.
It really was like straight up Jabba the Hutt and Leia.
Tijuana Howard. And he's doing the tongue thing. He's like, ah.
Was Cromwell still alive at that point?
No,
Yeah, that's his
Damn.
salacious crime.
Yeah.
no. Cromwell was done.
Oh my God,
Sorry.
Salacious Cromwell.
Show's over.
All right, we're done. Goodbye.
All right, new artwork. Jabba the Henry,
Henry the Hutt.
Henry the Hutt, and Salacious
Henry the
Cromwell.
Oh dear God.
Slave Catherine.
But yeah, that's why I'm like kind of. It's always fascinating that like Elizabeth ended up being the one that became like the actual like strong ruler after everything that
Right.
went on.
And that itself sounds like a story too. It's like a young girl saw her
know.
mother beheaded and decided that she'd be fucking Queen of England.
Right. Well, that begets the question of like, did Henry VIII really see Mary and Elizabeth as bastards, which he claimed over and over and over again, the same way he saw his son Henry Fitzroy, or did he see them as legitimate? In which case, if Henry Fitzroy had not died at 17 in 1536, I think he was 17, would he have put Henry Fitzroy on the throne as well? Because if he says he saw Elizabeth as a bastard, but then he said, yeah, she can be
And
queen.
Mary even.
And Mary is a bastard and said, yeah, she can become queen after my legitimate son. Would he have done the same with the one he acknowledges as his bastard? It's that question just, I really think he would have done it.
Yeah, I think I could have seen him doing it just because it was just a son.
Yeah.
But the only reason I feel like with him is because he actually like, because at least with Mary and Elizabeth, he did marry their mothers.
He says he didn't. He says his marriage to them was as non-existent as his marriage to Bessie Blount. That's what the annulment
But
was.
they never even like did any kind of marriage or anything like that. with
It
Bessie
doesn't
Blount.
matter. It is null and void. It never happened. That's the whole point of an annulment,
It's
not
just
a
that
divorce.
point of Henry's life where he's just like, I'm just kind of making up this shit as I go now.
Really, really, yeah. So, or maybe he saw them as his children. He was like, okay, I guess I really did marry their mother. That's why they can be in the line of succession. So it's just one of those questions.
Yeah, because like at least their parents were actually had some sort of royal title,
Yeah.
where Bessie Blount was just Bessie Blount and her fragrances.
Bastard by Bessie Blount. God, that was one of our first jokes. Yeah,
Smell like a bastard today.
it's one of the best pieces of fan art I've ever seen. I feel like I was gonna ask you guys something else about Miss Anne Boleyn. I was asked if there was an origin to the necklace that I mentioned, the bee necklace. Because somebody
I actually know this one.
tell me.
So she stopped by the gift shop when she was in Austria, and she was looking for something, and they had, she was gonna get one of those license plates, but they didn't have one in Anne spelled in the same way that she spells her name. So she found the bee keychain, and the rest is history.
Perfect. There you go, guys. That's the answer.
It was either a necklace or a
There
keychain.
you go.
If you're in school and that comes up on a test, please put that down.
What was the B stand for?
Bitch.
Bitch. The funniest,
Bitchin'.
every time you say bee necklace, I
You think
visualize
bitch.
the insect bee necklace.
Oh.
I think
Ooh, I want one of those. That would be a subtle nod to. Maybe I should make a bumblebee necklace, and that'll be our Tutor I Hardly Know Her necklace jewelry merch. No, I was asked about the origin of that, and unfortunately, nobody really knows. The one question specifically we were asked is if.
I just told you.
Shut up, Garrett. As if, like she was known around court contemporarily for having that necklace, or if because it was painted a few times in the portraits, we now associate it with her.
we just assumed it was like something she had on her all the time.
I couldn't really find an answer, so I think Garrett's answer is the best. Found it in a gift shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This is fact, people.
This is fact. Please, any history. Oh, also, I mean, I feel like this is a
episode.
really good segue to the end of the episode because I don't have much else to talk to you guys about. But, I'm trying to find one of our listeners just told me something. Also, there's a song called Hurdy Gurdy Man. Please go listen to it.
The Donovan hurdy-gurdy man.
Yeah.
Hey, hurdy-gurdy
Thank you
man.
to the listener that sent that to us.
My God. Okay. I can't find the actual listener, but this person said that they were struggling getting through their history exam, but then listening to our podcast got them excited about it again. And so they just
Aw.
got through their history A levels because of us, and it made me so happy. I was like in happy tears. So, yay, listener. I'm so sorry I can't find you. I've just been messaging everybody so much lately.
Miranda
Sorry.
was the one who sent us hurdy-gurdy, man. Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you, Miranda. Anyway, oh, you know what? Okay, this is for something else. Anyway, that I really wanted to just talk to you guys about your opinions on Anne Boleyn and see how I figured it was a good way to wrap up Anne Boleyn month.
Yeah.
We'll be going back to our regularly scheduled tutor stuff shortly. Next week, new episode, not Anne Boleyn. Hope you're not
Although
sick of her.
I do like this idea of you asking me and Jeff our questions.
I feel like you
on
guys
a
have
broad topic.
probably developed enough of a knowledge of this to offer more than just, oh, I have no clue. So maybe we should do this a little bit more regularly. Like once a month, we have just a conversation.
Cool.
So, any questions from you guys?
No, I'm good. I think we got it.
Cool.
No, I can't think of anything.
Well, then, find us on Facebook and Twitter. If you want to find us on Twitter, that's where I like to talk to a lot of people. That one, mostly I run, Emily. So you can find me at Tutor Know Her. We also have a Gmail account now. Right, Garrett? You want to share
Yep.
that?
Our Gmail account I literally just made earlier today, and that is, drumroll please, tutorknowher@gmail.com.
Yes.
So if you hate social media but you still want to contact us, that's the way.
Yes. Also, Facebook at Tutor I Hardly Know Her. We are getting much, much better about the three of us responding to stuff. So
Yeah.
you've got all of us.
Trying.
Share your stuff with us.
Yeah. Oh my God, that meme. That was
Or-
hilarious. The Anne of Cleves. But did you die? That was great. Yeah. Share. Talk.
Yeah.
Chat.
And even if we don't respond to you right away, sorry.
We will
we're
eventually.
busy. We're gonna try and not leave you on read.
We don't intentionally ignore anyone.
No, we don't. What usually happens is I see the messages and I look at it and then my child starts screaming. Like this.
Like right now.
So,
Also, in the last episode, we did bring up that we are toying with the idea of doing a Patreon. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with that, and
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out like what levels we want to do, what we want to help provide, extra stuff to you guys. We've gotten some good suggestions recently, but keep
Thank
them
you.
coming. So if you think of other ones, let us know.
yes, please.
We'll definitely take into consideration.
Yes, please.
Yep.
And I think that's all, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time,
Divorce, beheaded, died. Divorce, beheaded, survived. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Y'all come back now. You hear?